Hello and welcome back to this YouTube channel. If you are first time visitor of this channel, I would like to talk to you guys. I know you won't even watch this full video, but wait few minutes and listen to me what I'm gonna say. If you are the serious aspirant for the UPSC exams or for any exam which you are preparing for, and you need current affairs for that, you need static portion for that, and you need daily questions, daily quiz for that, then you are at the right place. And why I'm saying you this, guys, because from the 1st of July we are going to start this initiative in which we'll upload three different videos. In one video we would touch the static part of every subject. We would complete every subject one by one. First we will take up polity, then economics, then history, all three portions of history, then environment and ecology, then geography, and finally science and tech. These six subjects we are going to teach you here. After that, we will discuss the daily current affairs for you know for every day, which would be based on the Hindu newspaper, and that would be based on Indian Express mainly. you know After that, every day we will take up at least 10 to 15 questions which would be based on the UPSC model, in which we would discuss the static portion related questions, the previous year questions, and we would discuss the current affairs related questions. So my dear brothers and friends, if you are here, so please stay with me. You will definitely get benefit from this YouTube channel. So do subscribe to this channel, and you know trust trust yourself, trust me. We will definitely succeed in the 2025 exam if you will stay with me. Actually, that target is for 2025. Right now, what we are discussing here is the current affairs related and to Indian economy. If you would check my YouTube videos, I had already uploaded it for the polity portion, governance, and international relations. So today we are going to discuss the sixth part of Indian economy, their current affairs related to it. So let's come to the topic. Let's try to wind up these slides one by one and try to take much information from it, which would be very much useful for your exams. If you are still staying with me, so I would request you guys, if you don't like the way I am, explaining the things. Actually, this is not the based on the explanation. The aim of these videos right now, I'm not going to explain. Nobody is going to explain you the static concept. So the aim of these videos is to deliver as much information, as much current affairs as possible in the limited time. So we are not going to explain each and every concept in it, but wherever it would be needed, I would try to explain it. I would request to you guys, if you don't like my way of teaching here, at least pause the you can mute the video, but take the information from the PPTs. This is the genuine source and it may help you in your exams. If you like it, then just keep it. I would you know try to explain as much as I could right now. So without wasting any time, let's jump to our first topic. It is about the credit rating agencies. They rate. It is about the rating agencies. Here we have a Moody's, a credit rating agency. They had affirmed a Ba3 rating on India and maintained a stable outlook on the Indian economy. They rate the economies in the world and they rate it according to their nomenclature. So they gave us a Baa3 rating, and by which we had maintained by which we had maintained a stable outlook on the Indian economy. So before going forward, I would like to share with you guys that the classes from the 1st of July, that would be based on mixture, English, Hindi, both languages would be used. Mostly I would try to explain in English, and wherever needed I would explain in Hindi. And if you want me to, explain in Hindi, you could comment me, then we will take those classes in the Hindi itself. So moving forward, here we would see we are here we can see that the other research shows that India's sovereign credit rating could be downgraded due to the impact of climate change and the rise in temperature volatility by the 2030s. And the reason behind this is the delay in a green investment, where we are delaying invested in a green investment. We are very far behind, which would later increase the borrowing cost of nations and subsequently increase the debt. Here, sovereign rating assesses the credit worthiness of countries and are a key gauge for investors. These sovereign, when the investors want to invest in any country, they see the what is the sovereign rating of that country, and according to that they take the further steps. So this is very essential for a country to maintain the sovereign ratings. Here we can see that covering more than 66 trillion in sovereign debt, the credit rating agencies act as a gatekeepers to global capital. And also currently India is rated investment grade by three major credit rating agencies, such as Standard and Poor's. Then we have Moody's and Fitch. These are three credit rating agencies who rate Indian investment. There are several credit criteria behind rating a government creditworthiness, like political risk. We would see taxation, how the taxation is there, then currency value, what is the value of the currency, and what are the different laws, labor laws in the country. They are also the criteria behind the credit rating a government's creditworthiness. Another is sovereign risk, where a country's central bank can change its foreign exchange regulations. Moving forward, here we would see that what are the issues with India's sovereign ratings by global agencies. Here we can see that uh, historical anomaly. Recently, S&P and Fitch rated India triple B, while Moody's has Ba3, indicative of the lowest possible investment grade. According to Economic Survey 2020-21, it noted that never in the history of sovereign credit rating has the fifth largest economy as ours in the world been rated at the lowest rung of the investment grade, except in the case of China and India. Moving forward, we have structural issues, flawed issuer pays model, where the entity also pays the rating agencies for its services. This often leads to a conflict of interest with tremendous potential for rating biases. And also, ratings do not capture India's fundamentals. India's willingness to pay is unquestionably demonstrated through its zero sovereign default history, then comfortable size of its foreign exchange reserves. As of July 2023, forex reserves stood at 607 billion and low external debt to GDP ratio around 19 to 20%. And also we should know that India is one of the largest recipient of FDI and is also high on the scale of FPI, which is foreign portfolio investment. And about the bias and subjectivity in sovereign credit ratings, especially against countries with lower ratings, as highlighted by Economic Survey. One study highlighted in the survey found that CRAs give these credit rating agencies they give higher ratings from 1990 to 2010 to developed countries, regardless of their macroeconomic fundamentals. So this is the bias these credit rating agencies show. Then also we could see that the pro-cyclic nature of credit ratings can have a potential adverse impact on economies and can affect equity and debt, foreign portfolio investment flows of developing countries, causing damage and worsening crisis. Then we have complete regulatory void in global CRAs, lack of transparent mechanism to disclose more information on how decisions have been made by these credit rating agencies. Here we could see the role of the credit rating agencies. They help investors to make well-informed investment decisions. They encourage entities to pay on time, and they depict the livelihood of a borrower to default or repay a loan with interest. Also, enable nations and states to sell bonds to investors in domestic and international markets. Here we could see that in India, the SEBI regulates all credit rating firms under the SEBI Credit Rating Agencies Regulation 1999. There are seven credit rating agencies in India as they are CRISIL, CARE, ICRA, Acute Rating, Brickwork Rating, India Rating and Research Private Limited, and Infomerics Valuation and Rating Private Limited. These are the seven credit rating agencies in India which are regulated by SEBI, who you know these are the credit rating agencies. Why do they? What do they do? What is their function? What do they do? They empower market participants with timely information and unbiased opinion, help the financial market grow and be more efficient, and evaluate and assess an individual's or a company's creditworthiness. Now, our next topic of today's discussion is the incremental cash reserve ratio. Here, you would have heard about the cash reserve ratio (CRR). What is that? That a bank has to keep that much, some much amount with the RBI to do its functioning. That is interest free. So, with regard to that, the Reserve Bank of India recently asked banks to maintain an incremental cash reserve ratio of 10%. Moving forward about CRR and ICRR cash reserve ratio, it is the share of bank's net demand and time liabilities (NDTL) that is mandated by the Reserve Bank of India to be maintained with the latter as reserves in the form of liquid cash as per the RBI Act 1934, and all scheduled commercial banks that includes public and private sector banks, foreign banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks are required to maintain this the cash reserve ratio. So all scheduled commercial banks are required to to maintain the cash reserve ratio according to the RBI Act 1934. About incremental cash reserve ratio, or we can say ICRR, it is similar to that of CRR, where in banks need to set aside a certain portion of their money with the RBI. With that, they do not earn any interest on this. RBI has the option to impose ICRR in addition to the CRR. For instance, the Reserve Bank of India asked banks to maintain an ICRR of 10% on the increase in their deposits between May 19th and July 28, 2023 due to discontinuation of 2000 notes. This implies that banks must maintain both CRR and ICRR. Here we can see how ICRR is applied along with CRR application of only CRR. We could see application of 4.5% deposit from CRR, total maintenance with the RBI. Here we have deposit from CRR plus deposit from ICRR, which is maintained by the RBI. What is the need for ICRR incremental cash reserve ratio? It is to manage liquidity. There was a recent increase in liquidity in the economy due to pickup in government spending, sustained foreign inflows, and withdrawal of rupees 2000 notes, among others. Estimates suggest that ICRR will pull out somewhere between 20,000 crore and 40,000 crore from the system. So it would help in retaining the inflation. Inflation control: India's retail inflation measured by the consumer price index rose to 7.5% in July compared with 4.9% in June, hence requiring a tighter monetary policy. Then we have banking resilience: increased CRR protects banks in uncertain times by creating cash buffers which can be used in case of external or internal economic shocks. For instance, the incremental CRR increases protection against the potential threat of a bank run. Then also it decreased lending. Decreased liquidity implies a decrease in the lending capacity of banks. Lower lending will in turn bring down demand for goods and services and reducing the aggregate demand of the economy. So In simple terms, I would like to sum up all this slide in a single line, which is it is done to control the inflation, to take out the cash from the market. So what RBI does, they increase the limit for a CRR and they impose ICRR. Now, our third topic of today's discussion is startups in India. Why it is in news? We had already studied in our previous one of our previous videos. Now, these videos would often come in the news. So these things would often come in news. So we have to be in check with this. So let's see why it was in news. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Commerce, they recently released a report titled "Ecosystem of Startups to Benefit India." About startups in India, it is definition and criteria. A company, we could see here that it is defined as a company or entity it would be referred to as a startup if it fulfills certain criteria parameters given by Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Under Startup India scheme, about in this these are the criteria for the company being a startup. Its age, period of existence, it should not be exceeding 10 years. About company type, incorporated as a private limited company, a registered partnership firm, or a limited liability partnership. Annual turnover should have an annual turnover not exceeding rupees 100 crore for any of the financial year since its incorporation. And original entity should not have been formed by splitting up or reconstructing on already existing business. Then we have innovative and scalable, should work towards development or improvement of product, process of services, and or have scalable business model with high potential for creation of wealth and employment. These are the criteria for a company being a startup. Then moving forward, we have initiatives launched to promote startup. We have Startup India, which we already studied in our previous lecture. It was launched in 2016. It is administered by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Startup India Investor Connect portal has been developed under it with SIDBI. Then we have other funding mechanisms. So we have Startup India Seed Fund Scheme 2021. We have Fund of Funds for Startups Scheme 2016. We have a Credit Guarantee Scheme for Startups 2022. Then about platform facilitation startup, we have National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovation by the Department of Science and Tech in 2016. Then we have Innovation for Defense Excellence by the Ministry of Defense in 2018. We have Methi Startup Hub. Then we have Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector regeneration 2017. About data bank, it is India is the third largest startup. India has the third largest startup ecosystem. We have around 98,000 start. We had around 98,000 startups in 2023 as compared to 428 in 2016. So we could see how long we had come, and we have 108 unicorns, more than 1 billion in valuation as of May 2023. What there is a news related to it. Draft on a national deep tech startup policy NDTCP 2020. What is deep tech startup? A deep tech startup typically produces a solution along an unexplored pathway based on new knowledge within a scientific or engineering discipline, or by combining knowledge from multiple disciplines. Majority of them operate on a business-to-business model, indicating their focus on serving enterprise clients and providing technology solutions tailored to specific industry needs. Key highlights of the national draft NDTCP draft National Deep Tech Startup Policy 2020. Here we could see investment in basic and curiosity-driven scientific research. Then we have
strengthening the intellectual property regime. Then we have encourage participation of public-private industries, especially MSMEs and startups, to create an ecosystem for the development of cutting-edge and dual-use technologies. Then we have establishing frontier scientific infrastructure in academic institutions and R&D establishments. Then we have regulatory sandboxes shall be established across different deep technology domains. What are the characteristics of deep tech startup? We have uncertainty. They carry a large technical or scientific uncertainty and can either succeed or fail. We have multiple disciplines. They produce a new solution to the existing issue by combining knowledge from multiple disciplines. We have timeline and capital. They are characterized by extended development timelines and requires high capital intensity. Then we have early stage technologies involve scientific or engineering advancements which are yet to be developed for any commercial application. We have focus area, they focus on science and technology, unlike non-deep tech startups which focus on business models. Now, let's move to our next topic, which is corporate social responsibility (CSR) spending in India. Here we could see that CSR spending data was released by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. What is this corporate social responsibility? It is a it is a management concept whereby companies integrate social and environmental concerns in their business operations and interactions with their stakeholders. It is a form of self-regulation that reflects a business's accountability and commit to contributing to the well-being of communities and society. It is governed by Section 135 of the Companies Act 2013 and Companies CSR Policy Rules 2014 in India. Schedule 7 of the Act provides the list of activities to be included by the companies for CSR policies. As we could see that India was the first country to have statutorily mandated CSR for specified companies. Also, companies are required to spend annually at least 2% of average net profits made in the previous 3 financial years. About the significance of CSR, it aids societal contribution of companies, promotes their positive brand image, and upholds the principles of equitable sharing of wealth. What are the trends in CSR spending? We could see that 150% increase from CSR spending from 2014 to 15. Then we could see that rupees 26,000 crore has been invested by more than 18,000 companies. We could see that 29.5% and 24.5% of the total spending it was done in health and education sector, and also less than 0.1% spending towards technology incubators since the inception of CSR. Increased spending on sanitation through the Clean Ganga Fund, drinking water and slum area development, and also doubling of spending in the environment sector due to India's global climate commitments. What are the issues with CSR spending in India? We have lack of proper enforcement. The mandate to spend CSR funds according to the Act lacks effective monitoring. For example, lack of transparency with the local implementing agencies of corporates. We focus on avoiding regulatory liability. For most companies, the approach toward CSR centers around regulatory companies. This hinders the development of a long-term plan for CSR engagement in companies. We have geographical bias according to a KPMG report. Companies tend to spend their CSR funds in economically developed states, that is Maharashtra, Karnataka, and also we have low spending according to KPMG. 52 out of the country's 100 largest companies fail to spend the required 2% on CSR activities. We have lack of community participation in CSR activities. The local community often lacks interest in participating and contributing to the CSR activities of companies. This is largely attributed to the fact that there exists little or no knowledge about CSR within the local communities. We have non-availability of well-organized NGOs. Companies face difficulty in identifying the real need for community. The NGOs can fill this gap, acting as a bridge between them and streamlining the projects. Now, Our next topic is self-help groups. You know why it was in news. The government they announced the skill development training that will cover 2 crore women under the Lakhpati Didi scheme, which aims to encourage them to start micro enterprises. About Lakhpati Didi scheme, its objective is enable rural self-help group women to earn at least 1 lakh per annum. In 2021, the Ministry of Rural Development it launched the Lakhpati Self-Help Group Women Initiative. Ministry of Rural Development. It is based on women-led development approach. Activities covered women would be trained in skills like plumbing, LED bulb making, and operating and repairing drones, among others. What is the role of self-help groups in empowering women? It helps in economic sphere, promoted entrepreneurship culture among rural women by enhancing their skills and allowing them to engage in various entrepreneurial activities. It helps in providing finance. Self-help groups provide microloans to sustain business while also creating an environment for them to develop greater agencies and decision-making skills. Also, participation in labor force rise in rural female labor force participation rate from 19.7% in 2018 to 19 to 27.7% in 2021, according to economic survey of 22-23. They also bring the gap between rural and urban India. In social sphere, contribute to strong social networks and stronger local institutions, thus contributing to social capital. Enhanced the position of women. For instance, their participation in family decision making has increased. Meet national targets such as those under the Sustainable Development Goal 5, Gender Equality 16, SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, and etc. During disaster and other exigencies, during the COVID-19 pandemic, SHGs led for the front in producing masks, sanitizers, and protective gear. Also, in political sphere, many SHGs, self-help groups, have started to advocate for their rights, and through pressure groups have uh, foreplayed in had got involved into activism while sustaining livelihood. What are the major initiatives to promote self-help groups? We have initiatives like self-help group bank linkage program. It was initiated in during the year 1992. National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. A key features linked to the self-help groups with the banks. Well, then we have Deen Dayal Antyodhya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, Day NRLM. It was brought up in 2011 as NRLM under Ministry of Rural Development. It helped in organizing rural poor women into SHGs and continuously nurturing and supporting them. Renamed as Day NRLM in 2015. Also, we have State of Village Entrepreneurship Program. It was brought up in 2016 sub-scheme under Day NRLM. It helps SHGs to set up enterprises at the village level in non-farm sectors. Then we have Mahila Kisan Sashakticaran Pariyojana (NK MKSP). It was brought up in 2011 as sub-scheme under Day NRLM. It helps in empowering women in agriculture by making systematic investment to enhance their participation and productivity, also create and sustain their agriculture-based livelihood. Then we have Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kaushalya Yojana DDU-GKY. It was brought up in 2014 as sub-scheme under DHE NRLM. It helped in skilling the poorest of the poor youth between the ages of 15 and 35 years. Now our next topic is the direct benefit transfer. We had already discussed about it. Now let's see what are the important points which we should know. Here, why it was in the news, as we could see here, according to the Union Finance Ministry, the government has saved rupees 2.73 lakh crore of taxpayers' money from 2014 to 2023 by adopting direct benefit transfer to send money directly to the targeted beneficiaries. Scope of the scheme under DBT direct benefit transfer is cash transfer, for examples Pahal, Manrega, uh, and others. In kind, these are in kind transfer given by the government to individuals through intermediaries, for example, public distribution systems. Then other transfers from the governments to different non-governmental functionaries who help in facilitation of various government schemes till the last mile. For example, ASHA workers under NHM, Anganwadi workers under ICDS, and others, etc. About direct benefit transfer, its objective is to bring transparency and terminate pilferage from the distribution of funds sponsored by the union government. It was rolled out in 2013 in certain districts. Later, it was implemented across the country in 2014. Its nodal agency is Direct Benefit Transfer Mission Cabinet Secretariat under Secretary Coordination and PG disbursement. Disbursements are channeled through the Public Finance Management System. Aadhaar requirement. Aadhaar is not mandatory in direct benefit transfer scheme since Aadhaar provides a unique identity and is useful in targeting the intended beneficiaries. Aadhaar is preferred and beneficiaries are encouraged to have Aadhaar. Key enablers for DBT are JAM, which is Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, enable transferred benefits in a leakage-proof, well-targeted, cashless, and timely manner. Also, business correspondence infrastructure ensure that payments are disbursed to the beneficiaries on time, at their doorstep, and of full value. Then we have payments bank increased the penetration level of financial services in remote areas of the country. Then we have mobile money develop a comprehensive ecosystem for cashless transactions or a mobile platform using Aadhaar as an identifier. What are the challenges in the implementation of DBT? We have identification of beneficiaries. It is the major challenge. For instance, reportedly due to complex eligibility criteria under PM Kisan, crores of funds were distributed to ineligible beneficiaries. Then we have after identification and enrollment, there is also the challenge of database management. Then we have compliance and operational issue, other related errors such as fingerprint mismatch, inadequate training of data entry operators at the field level, and others have led to transactional failure. Then we have low financial inclusion. People in rural areas, scheduled tribes, etc., have less access to bank accounts due to which benefits of direct benefit transfer do not reach to all. Then we have digital divide and illiteracy among the poorest 20% of households. Only 2.7% have access to a computer and 8.9% to internet facilities. India Inequality Report 2022, which was digital divide by Oxfam. Then we have uh, ineffective grievance redressal mechanism for beneficiaries who face issues with DBT, data security, privacy breaches, and others. Now we have drafted another topic is draft national policy on official statistics. Here we could see that the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has informed a draft national policy on official statistics. This policy promotes the use of the latest technologies and lays down a roadmap towards modernized data collection and timely dissemination of information. The policy reinforces the United Nations fundamental principles of official statistics, which is UNFPOS. India adopted the UNFPOS in 2016. About definition, according to UNFPOS, official statistics are statistics derived by government agencies from statistical surveys, administrative and registration records, and other forms that are published regularly. What is the present status of statistical system in India? We have role of central government. The official statistical system in India is literally divided among union ministries at the central level and vertically distributed among the central and the state union territories. At the national level, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is the nodal agency for planning integrated development of the statistical system in the country. For role of the state government, the official statistical system in the states is generally decentralized literally over the departments of the state government. At the apex level, the Directorates of the Economic and Statistics coordinates statistical activities in the state and UTs. Then we have Statistical Commission. The government constituted the NSC in 2006 as an apex advisory body on statistical matters on the recommendation of the C. Ranga Rajan Commission. The place in seventh schedule, the subject of statistics is covered in entry 94 of the Union list, which is list 1, and entry 45 of the current list, which is concurrent list, which is list 3. Legislation excludes statistics laws such as the Census Act 1948, the Registration of Births and Deaths Act 1969, and the Collection of Statistics Act 2008 have varied the respective statistical exercises. Now our new topic is Bharat New Car Assessment Program, which is Bharat NCAP. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has rolled out an indigenous star rating system for vehicles to assess their safety in cases of collision. It will be it will enable Indian auto manufacturers to get their vehicles tested and evaluated on a 5-star rating scale as per automotive industry standard AIS 197. About AIS 197, it contains the overall assessment method, vehicle selection procedure, various tests, and their assessment protocols. It is modeled on the Global New Car Assessment Program, which is Global NCAP, that promotes the universal adoption of the United Nations Motor Vehicle Safety Standards worldwide. About Global New Car Assessment Program, it is a major project of the Toward Zero Foundation, which is a UK registered charity. Now, what are the features of the Bharat new car NCAP? Applicability to passenger vehicles with not more than 8 seats, in addition to the driver's seat, that is 8 plus 1, with gross weight not exceeding 3,500 kg, which are either manufactured or sold in India. For combustion engine vehicles as well as CNG and electric vehicles can be tested under the program. Testing protocol, it will evaluate adult occupant protection, child occupant protection, and fitment of safety assist technologies. For this, there 3 tests will be conducted: a frontal impact test, a side impact test, and a side pole impact test. Based on the assessment, 2 separate star ratings will be awarded for AOP and COP, which is adult occupation protection based, and child occupation occupant protection. Then the pole impact test will only be conducted for cars securing 3 stars and above. About the format of testing, testing will be voluntary, and car makers will be encouraged to offer their models for testing as per the ASI 197. About Bharat NCAP, team will pick a base variant of the model offered through random sampling. The Automotive Research Association of India is mandated with testing the vehicles under the scheme at its laboratories in Pune and Chakan. Though voluntary, authority can select a particular vehicle model for safety assessment in certain cases. Base model of a popular variant minimum clocked sale of 30,000 units. When Ministry of Road Transport and Highways recommends a model for testing based on market feedback or in the interest of public safety. Then what are the comparisons of global standards? About here we have Bharat NCAP, then we have global NCAP, then we have Euro NCPA. Frontal impact test is done in all the 3. Then we have side impact test. Then we have pole side impact test. Uh, Whiplash test, it is not found in Bharat NCPA but in global and Euro. Then we have AOP adult. Then we have COP for child. Then we have safety assisted technology. It is done in everyone. Then we have pedestrian occupant safety. It is not done in Bharat NCAP but in global NCAP it is done, and it is not done in Euro NCAP. And also vulnerable road user protection. Bharat and global they don't do it, but Euro NCAP does it. Now Our next topic of today's discussion is the UDAN, which is Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik scheme. Here we could see that Comptroller and Auditor General, which is GAG, audit report on the regional connectivity scheme UDAN. Uday Desh Ka Har Aam Nagrik was Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. It was laid down in the Parliament. This report of the about Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik scheme. Its objective is to promote cheaper travel and better connectivity from underserved airports. It seeks to create a demand-driven mechanism for regional air connectivity. It was initiated in 2017 for 10 years to fulfill the objective of the National Civil Aviation Policy 2016. It envisaged a regional connectivity scheme to enhance regional air connectivity through fiscal support and infrastructure development. It comes under the Ministry of Civil Aviation and Implementation Agency, Airport Authority of India. Its key features are concessions. Central and state governments provide concessions to airline and airport operators. Then we have viability gap funding, financial assistance through VGF to airline operators for their operations on RCS routes. Then we have regional air connectivity fund, funded by a levy or fee for departure on all domestic flights for providing concessions, VGF for operations on regional routes. Then we have budgetary support by the government for the development revival of the airports, heliports, and water aerodromes. What is the need importance of regional air connectivity in India? We could see here promoting regional development, launch of several new flights to airports in tier 2 and 3 cities will fulfill the development aspiration of people and reduce regional disparity in infrastructure. Then we have mobilization and accessibility. It will ease the mobilization of people, especially from difficult topography such as northeast, etc. Then we have growth engine will facilitate development activities such as investment through foreign direct investment. Then we have disaster management, quick response and relief operations can be carried out. Then we have cultural exchange and tourism will complete initiatives such as Swadesh Darshan. Then we have urban infrastructure development fund. We could see here National Housing Bank has operationalized the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund with the outlay of 10,000 crore. Its establishment was announced in the Union Budget 2023-24. It will be funded through the use of priority sector lending shortfall established on the lines of the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. About UIDF object to supplement the efforts of the state government's duties by providing a stable and predictable source of finance for the creation of infrastructure. States will be encouraged to leverage resources from the grants of the 15th Finance Commission as well as existing schemes to adopt appropriate user charges while assessing the UIDF coverage cities as per census Saska 400, 2011 459 tier 2 cities population between 1 lakh to 9 lakh 99,999. Then we have 580 tier 3 cities population between 50,000 to 99,000. About allocation of funds based on the population of the eligible cities of each state UT, where interest rates on funds will be bank rate minus 1.5. Then we have eligible activities shall be aligned to the mission and programs of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Then we have basic services like sewerage and solid waste management, water supply and sanitation, and impact oriented projects should be prioritized. Then we have minimum size and minimum size of the project proposal shall be 5 crore, which is 1 crore for northeast and hilly states and 100 crore respectively. About the nodal agency, it is the finance department of the respective states. Other features funding for administrative expenses and maintenance will be kept out of the purview. Housing, power and telecom, rolling stock, urban transport, health and education institutions are not covered under it. Then we have principal loan amount is repaid in 5 equal annual installments within 7 years, including a 2 year moratorium period. Then we have borrowing by states will be governed by Article 293 of the Constitution of India, that is within borrowing power of the state from the market and financial institutions during a financial year. About National Housing Bank, we have it was set up in 1988 under the National Housing Bank Act 1987. Its mandate is to harness and promote the market's potentials to serve the housing needs of all segments of the population with a focus on low and moderate income housing. Other key information is in 2019 it became a government owned entity after the government purchased a stake of the Reserve Bank of India. Residex Residex Index Housing Price Index is released by it. About RIDF, its establishment 1995 to 96, Objective Financial Rural Infrastructure Project. It is managed by the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, which is NABARD. Its funding mechanism is domestic commercial banks contribute to the fund to the extent of their shortfall in stipulated priority sector lending to agriculture. Now our next topic is the BharatNet. The government recently approved rupees 1.39 lakh crores for modernizing the BharatNet project. It involves changing its execution strategy and providing fiber connections to the last mile through village level entrepreneurs. VLEs, known as Udyamis, will take the fiber connections to households on a 50 is to 50 revenue sharing basis. With this upgrade, the government is looking to spend up its process of connecting all 6,40,000 villages over the next 2 years. The cost of taking the infrastructure to the home will be borne by the government. Rural entrepreneur will only need to be involved in the maintenance and operations of home connections, including addressing consumer complaints related to fiber cuts and others. For BharatNet, this is the third such package approved by the Centre. In 2017, the Cabinet approved financial assistance for the first two phases. In 2021, the Cabinet allocated more funds to implement the last mile connectivity under a PPP model, which failed to attract much interest. About BharatNet, some quick facts we have type. It is a central sector scheme under Ministry of Communication. Its purpose is to provide broadband connectivity to Gram Panchayats. About its implementing agency, it is Bharat Broadband Network, which is merged into BSNL in 2022. Then we have about funding Universal Service Obligations Fund. Now, here we could see the major ports in India. For example, Kondla Port in Gujarat, we have Mumbai Port Trust, we have JNP, we have Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu here. We have Murmugu, we have Mangaluru, we have Kochi, Tuticorin, we have Ennore in Chennai, we have Visakhapatnam in Andhra, we have Pradeep in Odisha, and then we have Kolkata. Why are we discussing about these ports? Let's see. The department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture presented the 352nd report on functioning of major ports in the country. You know, in our country, we have major ports and minor ports. Major ports come under this state list, and the minor ports under concurrent. Major ports come under the union list, and minor ports under concurrent list. So let's discuss about it. Ports in India. Here, ports in India are broadly classified or categorized into base types based on traffic they handle. For example, major ports, they are under the direct administrative control of the center government and fall in the unit list in the seventh schedule of the constitution. Then we have minor ports, they fall under the jurisdiction of the respective state maritime board and fall in the concurrent list. There are 12 major ports and about 213 non-major ports. The Major Port Authorities Act 2021 and the Indian Ports Act are the two principal statutes governing the functioning of the major ports. About the performance of the ports in India, what is the turnaround time? The turnaround time spent by a vessel at the port from its arrival to its departure across Indian ports has been consistently declining from 94 hours, which was in financial year 13-14 to 52 hours, which is in 2023-24. About traffic, Indian ports have witnessed a consistent rise in container traffic from 555 million tons in financial year 13-14 to 796 million tons in financial year 23-24. About cargo handling of the major ports has steadily increased over the years with a 10% increase from last year, and also the operating ratio, the rupees spent for every rupee earned has come down to rupees 48 from rupees 53 in 2020-21. Rupees 40 is spent for every rupees 100 earned. Here we could see that efforts that have been taken to improve the functioning of ports. We have overall monitoring. The Sagar Manthan dashboard was developed for regular monitoring of projects and the financial and operational performance of the ports. Then we have real-time tracking. The Sagar Setu app has been launched to give real-time information on vessels for better traffic management. Then we have trade facilitation. The National Logistics Portal is a national maritime single window platform facilitating trade between importers, exporters, and service providers. Then we have monitoring of port performance indicators, where Sagar Unnati has been implemented as a dashboard for monitoring all major ports' key performance indicators like turnaround time. Then we have improving connectivity. 101 roads and 90 rail connectivity projects have been taken up under the Sagarmala project for better connectivity. We have cyber security, establishment of asset management system, multi-factor authentication on all accounts, and implementation of IT security policy, etc. have been undertaken. Then we have digitalization of ports. Steps like vessel traffic management system, enterprise business system, port operation and allied system, and online radio frequency identification (RFID) system have been implemented. Now let's come to our next topic. It is sixth census report on minor irrigation scheme. Here, Ministry of Jal Shakti, they recently released the sixth census report on minor irrigation schemes. About irrigation projects in India, they are classified into three: major, medium, and minor. Major irrigation projects cultivable command area of more than 10,000 hectares. For medium irrigation project, cultivable command area is less than 10,000 hectare but more than 2,000 hectare. And for minor irrigation project, it is less than cultivable command area is 2000 or 2000 hectare or less than 2000 hectare. About minor irrigation projects, uh, here we could see that minor irrigation projects have both surface and groundwater as their source, while major and medium projects mostly exploit surface water resources. Mine This MI sector as a whole is implemented by the state government, and states have state specific schemes. The centrally sponsored plan scheme rationalization of minor irrigation statistics was launched in 1987-88. Later, it has been become part of the central sector plan scheme development of water resources information system. The main objective of the RMIS, which is rationalization of minor irrigation statistics scheme, is to build up a comprehensive and reliable database in the minor irrigation sector for effective planning and policy making. In sixth census has been conducted under the centrally sponsored scheme irrigation census of the Ministry of Jal Shakti. First census of minor irrigation scheme was conducted with the reference year 1986-87, and the report was published in November 1993. A census is essential for effective planning and policy making in the irrigation and agriculture sector. What are the categories of minor irrigation scheme? We have groundwater scheme and surface flow schemes. Here consisting of dug wells, bore wells, shallow tube wells, medium tube wells, and deep tube wells. In surface flow scheme, it consists of tanks, check dam structure for conservation cum groundwater recharge. About the highlights of the report, first census of water bodies, it was conducted in convergence with the sixth minor irrigation scheme and using 2017-18 as a reference year with the objective of developing a national database for all water bodies. Minor irrigation scheme in India, 23.14 million minor irrigation schemes were reported in the country from 695 districts. 94.8% of the minor irrigation schemes are groundwater based and the rest 5.2% are surface water schemes. In Uttar Pradesh, 17.2% possesses the largest number of minor irrigation schemes in the country, followed by Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Dug wells have the highest share in minor irrigation schemes, followed by shallow tube wells, medium tube wells, and deep tube wells. Increase of 1.42 million in minor irrigation schemes as compared to the fifth census. Ownership of minor irrigation schemes 96.6 are privately owned, whereas 3.4 are under public ownership. Out of the individually owned schemes, 18.1% are owned by women. Usage of schemes 97% of the irrigation schemes are in use, whereas 2.1% and 0.9% are temporarily not in use and permanently not in use, respectively. 0.9% are not permanently in use and 2.1% are not temporarily in use. Now, next topic is Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Amendment Act 2023. About this, the Offshore Area Mineral Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2023 received assent from the President. It has amended the Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Act 2002. It provides for the development and regulations of mineral resources in the territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zones of India. Offshore mineral resources are controlled and regulated by the Union. And also offshore mining is the process of retrieving mineral deposits from the deep seabed at a depth of more than 200 meters. Here we can share the actual act and the amendment uh, about licensing different licenses for reconnaissance, exploration and production. Here we have composite license for granting rights for exploration as well as production. About validity, production lease is granted for a period of up to 30 years, further renewed for up to 20 years. In 2023, we could see that production lease under a composite license will be valid for 50 years. Then auction process in the earlier act provides for the grant of concessions through administrative allocation. For the amended act, it provides two types of operating rights to the private sector by competitive bidding via production lease and composite license. Then mining in reserved areas allows it. Earlier act allows the government to reserve offshore areas that are not held under any operating rights. Under the amended Act 2023, it allows the administrating authorities to grant a composite license or production lease to the government or a government company. New provisions in the Act 2023 Act are mining of atomic minerals, exploration, production, and composite licenses will be granted only to the government or government companies. Then about offshore areas mining trust, offshore areas mineral trust, it will manage funds under the public account of India that will be non-lapsable in nature. Funds will be used for specified purposes including exploration in offshore areas and other. About offshore mineral wealth of India geographical position, it is 7,517 kilometer. India's 7,517 kilometer coastline is home to 9 coastal states for Union territories and 1,382 islands. India's economic zone is spread over 2 million square feet. About mineral resources, as per Geographical Survey of India, we have lime mud within the economic zone of Gujarat and Maharashtra coast. Then we have construction grade sand of Kerala coast. Then we have heavy mineral placer deposits in the inner shelf and mid shelf of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Maharashtra. Then we have phosphorite in eastern and western continental margin. Then we have polymetallic ferromanganese nodules and crusts in Andaman Sea and Lakshadweep Sea. Now, our next topic of today's discussion is medical and wellness tourism. Here, the Ministry of Home Affairs they recently notified the creation of a new category of Ayush, that is the
Ayush visa for foreign nationals for treatment under Ayush system of medicine, that is easing medical and wellness tourism in India. A new chapter, that is Ayush visa, has been incorporated under the medical visa of the visa manual, which deals with the treatment under the Indian system of medicine. Accordingly, necessary amendments have been made in various chapters of the visa manual 2019. This will boost medical value travel in India and strengthen our endeavor to make Indian traditional medicine a global phenomenon. Ayush is an acronym for Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. However, it also includes other traditional and non-conventional healthcare systems such as Sawa, Rigpa, etc. About medical and wellness tourism, medical tourism is a term used to describe the rapidly growing practice of traveling across international borders to seek healthcare services. Services typically sought by travelers include elective procedures, complex surgeries. Wellness tourism is a travel associated with maintaining or enhancing one's well-being. It includes the pursuit of physical, mental, spiritual, or environmental wellness while traveling for either leisure or business. Medical and wellness tourism are part of the wellness economy. The Ministry of Tourism has formulated a national strategy and roadmap for medical and wellness tourism. It aims to provide an institutional framework strengthening the ecosystem for medical and wellness tourism, developing a brand, and ensuring quality assurance. Then strategic key pillars include enable digitalization by setting up an online medical value travel portal, enhancement of accessibility for MET, medical value travel, etc. Then also constituted a National Medical and Wellness Tourism Promotion Board for institutional framework. In initiatives by government, we have market development assistance scheme, assistance provided to medical wellness tourism service providers and center under the MDA scheme. Then we had National Ayush Mission launched in 2014 and played a crucial role in preserving and promoting India's traditional system of medicine and their integration into the mainstream healthcare system. Then we have promotion of information, education, and communication in Ayush through the organization of Arogya fairs, Ayurveda Parav, and Yoga Fest Utsav, etc. Then we have national accreditation, we have national accreditation board for hospitals and healthcare providers, NABH. It is a constituent board of the quality control of India set up to establish and operate accreditation program for healthcare organizations. Related news to its first WHO Traditional Medical Global Summit. Recently, the World Health Organization and Ministry of Ayush, they organized first WHO Traditional Medicine Global Summit towards health and well-being for all in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Summit aimed to harness the potential of the evidence-based traditional, complementary, and integrative medicine. WHO released the outcome document of first WHO Traditional Medicine Global Summit 2023 in form of Gujarat Declaration. They affirmed global commitment towards indigenous knowledge, biodiversity, and TCIM, scaling up efforts to further implement evidence-based TCM interventions and approaches in support of the goal of universal health coverage and all health-related SDGs. Then we have it advocated for increased political and financial commitment at global, regional, and national and community level. Then scale up the multi-regional, multidisciplinary, and multi-stakeholder collaboration, accelerate the production, regulation, and formal utilization of scientifically proven TCIM products and practices, then ensure full participation and consultation with indigenous people. Now, our last topic of today's discussion is the Pharmacy Amendment Act 2023. About the Pharmacy Amendment Act 2023, uh, it is to extend the Pharmacy Act of 1948 to the UT Jammu and Kashmir. It was recently adopted. About Pharmacy Amendment Bill 2023, registration specifies that anyone registered as a pharmacist under the Jammu and Kashmir
Pharmacy Act 2011 or possesses qualifications will be deemed to be registered as a pharmacist under the Pharmacy Act 1948. About Pharmacy Act 1948, it provides provisions for regulating the profession and practice of pharmacy. Registration under this act is mandatory to practice pharmacy in India. Act mandates establishment of Pharmacy Council of India, State Pharmacy Council and Joint State Pharmacy Council. Pharmacy Council of India deals with the regulations of the pharmacy education in the country. Power of removal of a name of pharmacist from the register, but 30 days appeal period will be provided. Also, penalties based on offences such as falsely claims to be registered pharmacist. So it contains the power of removal, penalties based on offences, and appointment of commission of inquiry whenever it appears to the central government that the central council is not complying with any of the provisions of this act. About the data bank, India is third in the world by volume for Indian pharmaceutical industry. 60% of the global vaccine production, 70% of the WHO demand for diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, DPT, and Bacillus calmette Guerin BCG vaccines. 90% of the WHO demand for the measles vaccine and 20% share in global supply by volume of generic medicine. I hope this was the last slide. I am very much tired and no, it is not. About the pharmacy sector of India, the Indian pharmaceuticals industry plays a prominent role in the global pharmaceutical industry. Major segments of the Indian pharmaceutical industry include generic drugs, over-the-counter medicine, bulk drugs, vaccines, contract research and manufacturing, biosimilars, and biologics. India is one of the biggest suppliers of low-cost vaccines in the world. Steps taken by the government. We have schemes for strengthening of pharmaceutical industry with three sub-schemes. We have assistance of pharmaceutical industry for common facilities. Then we have pharmaceutical technology upgradation assistance scheme. Then we have pharmaceutical promotion and development scheme. Then we have promotion linked incentive schemes of pharma sector. We have PLI scheme for promotion of domestic manufacturing of critical key starting materials, KSMs, drug intermediaries, and APIs, PLI scheme for pharmaceuticals. Then we have promotion of bulk drug parks, providing financial assistance for establishing bulk drug parks. Then we have non systematic interventions, 100% foreign direct investment in the medical devices sector. In the pharma sector, greenfield projects have 100% FDI under automatic route, and for brownfield projects up to 74% FDI is allowed. The National Medical Devices Promotion Council was established to take up import issues of the medtech industry. I hope whatever I said, you retained the information, or at least you noted the information. This would be very much useful for you. I know that I'm not explaining these videos properly, but you know, it is not the time to explain everything. Then we would not even be able to discuss two or three articles in 1 hour period. So the purpose of these videos is that you will take down most of the information from it, and I hope this will be very useful for you in your exams. So best of luck to you guys. May you succeed in your exams. Thanks for staying with me.